everybody, and welcome to Sonic Talk, episode 553, recording today, Wednesday, the 10th of October, 2018. Indeed it is. We're just back from Synthfest, where we went up with Gaz and Andy and got totally synthed out. There's still a lot more videos to come up, but we've got a big pile of them up. That's because this podcast is to do with music technology, synthesizers, software, all that kind of stuff. Everything surrounding the making, recording and performing of music, whether it be electronic or otherwise. So that pretty much sums up the thing. We also want to say thank you to iZotope, who will be providing an excellent prize. You could win RX7, which is their new suite of audio restoration and fixing tools, which pretty much every audio professional I know has in some form, because it really just fixes astonishing things, and it's like, it's magic. It's the word. It's like wizardry, I tell you. Anyway, more on that later. You'll be able to win. We want to say hello to a few guests, because we've got basically we've got two that we haven't seen for ages. So I'll start off with Mr. Jamie Liddell, who is there. Not in his massive Nashville library. I don't know where he is, but he's busy because he's got a whiteboard behind him. So he's probably planning even more excellent musical stuff and vocals and the things that he does so well. How are you, Jamie?
I'm fine. First of all, record pan flute. Second of all, put in the RX, transform into an unknown sound. Okay, off you go, class.
That sounds like a great exercise.
LA for a little stint. You know what? I'm interviewing Spike Stent today for the podcast.
Are you? Say hi. I used to work with him.
Did you really?
Yeah,
so that's exactly the kind of thing I needed for this. I'm a little bit sort of nervous I don't quite know where to start. The legacy is so long. Skill sets.
When I say I used to work with him, I worked on the I think it was Black Cherry that he worked on. I forget which golf rap album. And so he came down and did a load of pre-production, and then I was there at Metropolis, not Metropolis, wherever it was that he used to be. And we, him and Lee Groves. And Lee was off for a couple of days, and I ended up being his programmer just because I was the golf rap programmer. So, you know, we ended up in the studio for. He's a nice chap and very good at what he does. That'll be a good one. And that's on your. Would you like to plug it fully? The podcast.
Certainly. That's Hanging Out with Audio Files.
That's right.
On multiple streaming platforms: Apple, Spotify,
here we go.
And yes. There you go. That's my last episode with the Chromeo boys. Came through Nashville. We had a hang.
Nice.
I got Pete. I hooked him up with the DX1. I found a DX1 on Craigslist. I thought there's no way he's going to spend $9 grand on a DX1, but I think he did. I think he got it for $8. You know, he could have got a Moog One. But he could have got DX1.
DX1, I mean, is a far. I mean, although not so knob encrusted, as a centerpiece, it is one of the most impressive looking instruments. I would say.
So cool. I just walked in. He had it on a proper A-frame with its own variac, and it was just, you know, it's extraordinarily inviting. So yeah, he was chuffed. I was chuffed to even see one. I think maybe Epworth has one. Paul Epworth, but he has everything.
There's one that's floating around. I think the guys at Ploytech, who make those tiny little MIDI-powered synths that are in boxes like this, use a DX1 as a master keyboard with banks of those to sort of demonstrate it's the contrast. The juxtaposition is the powerful thing. It's great though. Anyway, well, lovely to have you, Jamie. I will also say hello to Mr. Robbie Bronneman. Mr. Robbie Bronneman, who we haven't seen for ages. How are you, Robbie?
Yeah, no, good. Thanks. I've just got back from LA, so. I had a fun day in the studio with Junkie XL.
I saw. Which was like a full orchestral scoring session, right?
Yeah. Through a series of people, including Gaz. I contacted him. He contacted me, invited me down to watch one of the days of scoring for the new James Cameron Alita movie. So it was a lot of fun.
I'll bet.
Yeah, but I've just come back from there, and I'm just working on Howard's new album now, so we're kind of working on that right through to Christmas. So
that's Howard Jones, of course.
I'm in synth mode again, full-on synth mode.
And are you soft or hard, as it were, if that's not too personal a question?
You know, so a bit of both, but never flaccid.
Hold on, I'm just going to write that down. That's quite a contender for a show title there. Never Flaccid. Yeah, I like that. I don't know whether it's going to encourage the women to join the podcast that I'm desperately trying to get on, but we'll see.
But on leaving, just as I'm saying, on leaving my place yesterday afternoon, I said to him, "Oh, did you see the new Moog?" And he went, "No, I haven't seen it." And he rang me up to say, "Right, I'm putting an order in." So he was sufficiently excited by it.
If anybody should have like the world's greatest available polysynths, it feels like it should be Howard Jones. You know, there is definitely, you know, you would sort of expect that at a minimum, right?
He does love his polysynths, yeah. So, yeah, good. I think it's going to be a nice centerpiece. He likes to buy one really decent thing a year, so I think that'll be his thing for the next few months.
Yeah, just before the end of April.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Right, and we also have Mr. Gaz Williams, who is there in Bristol. I think he is, or he seems to have frozen, so I don't know if he's still there.
Oh, no. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you've got a kind of slightly startled poster frame. I don't know what's going on there. But
what's going on? What's going on?
I'm not sure.
I've got a really fast connection. So
I think
that's what they all say.
It's probably your browser if it's anything. But anyway, how are you, Gaz? We had a great time in Synthfest. Maybe what we can do is do your introduction and then you can like rejoin. Just come back in and see if it comes up. So
okay.
Maybe if we do this, it'll provide more visual entertainment for those people who are watching via video rather than listening.
Okay. Yeah, Synthfest was great fun. But I wanted to say a little thing about RX, just because. So yesterday I was going through some recordings. So we had a jam session with Robbie, and also with and with a bunch of other musicians in Bristol, but also with Jörg Schaaf from Radical Technologies, which
right.
Which he'd come down. Well, he was over for Synthfest and also doing something at Sonic. So so grabbed him, took him to our rehearsal room and had a really good jam, and it was really good fun. And he brought a bunch of his old things like actually Robbie, you got to play the accelerator keyboard, didn't you? The Radical, and Jörg also had his new Delta Sep A amongst
sounds good, that doesn't it?
Spectralis too. Yeah, really, really good. Yeah. But during the jam, sadly, the guitar, the XLR microphone cable died for some reason during the jam session. And we noticed, and there was a couple of tracks, a couple of jams that we'd had where we didn't have any guitar. So I brought the guitar. I was looking at the tracks yesterday, and I was like, I was gutted because he was playing some really nice stuff, and I didn't have the guitar tracks on. So I had a multi-track of all of the people who were in the jam, and I looked at the guitar track, and it was completely, it was totally silent. But I wondered if it was silent, so I normalized the silence, and sure enough, amongst all the noise, I was very careful with the level there, but amongst all the noise, I could just hear the guitar sort of like, some tiny little bit of the guitar was there after normal, what was a silent file. So then I just did multiple phase. I did noise reduction, I would do a noise reduction sweep with RX using a spectral noise remover, and then normalize it. Then there was still loads of noise, and I kept doing it. I did 5 noise reduction sweeps with 5 noise reduction, then normalizing, and I got it back.
Wow!
I got the guitar back out of nothing, out of like an empty file. Like a blank. It sounds really odd,
but it's there.
But it's there, and when you put it back in the mix,
Sorry.
Yeah. But it has got a synthy sort of sound to it with this, because of the weird nature of all the processing that had gone on. But it was really smooth, kind of quite smooth sounding when it came out, considering all the noise that was there.
Wow.
But I think what happened, because also there was a bit of bleed of the guitar on other mics. Somehow, when you put it back in, it
came back together.
Kind of.
Wow.
Yeah, really strange. But yeah, but testament to the software, performing like, I thought it was a bit of a miracle. I felt like some sort of uber kind of forensic scientist. I felt, doing that. Cool.
Oh, very well
Okay,
too. Lovely to have you. If you pack up, I must say, Gaz's mic sounds really good today. I don't know what's going on there, but it sounds much better than usual. So that's a very strange. So maybe all the audio, all the CPU's being used up on your mic.
CPU. Yeah,
that's all you got left. All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Probably, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm putting up.
So
content over style.
Content over style. Well, we'll keep that going up there just so that we can see when he comes back. So there's a couple of things going on. One of the things, we were up at, as I say, up at Synthfest, and one of the things I found, I spoke to a guy called Ollie Larkin. I think I've got a little bit of video of that. Let's have a look.
Hello, Ollie Larkin here. Web audio modules. This caught my eye because I've heard about web MIDI, but I've not heard about web audio. So tell us, what is it?
Okay, so web audio is a way of doing interesting audio stuff on a web page, and it's been around a few years, and it's replacing Flash for doing fancy audio stuff on web pages. It goes with web MIDI, and you can use them both to make synthesizers that work as web pages, which is what we're doing here.
Right, so I noticed here you've got a virtual CZ, and this is running in the browser. This is Chrome, right, presumably?
That's right. Yeah, so this is a web-based version of a desktop plugin. I developed this plugin and released it in 2014 with Plugin Boutique. This is...
So, as I often say, I won't play it all because I actually have one of these here, and this is bizarre because I'm sure I haven't heard of this before, or if I have, I didn't realise what it was doing. But I've got like so this is an OB plugin, and this is basically VST code, C++ code running in WebAssembly language. So it's not the usual stuff that I was expecting it to be, which is JavaScript and HTML5 and that kind of thing. It's actually native code pretty much, and the latency, I mean, it's rubbish on this because I'm getting this through various video processing, but this is the OBXD. There are various other ones as well. I'll just stop that. And I'm running that from the Arturia keystep as on web MIDI, and then I can just select presets and whatnot. I just thought, gosh, that's really kind of blown my mind a little bit because it's new. But Jamie, you said you're aware of this already, so am I behind the curve?
Did I say that?
Oh, did I hear that? I thought you said, oh yeah. Sorry, I must have misheard. What do you think?
No, it's probably something else. Novel. When I would use it, except for liked that, and then wanted to remove the latency and have it in a more sort of functional state, maybe you could download it.
Yeah,
I think just for sort of curiosity.
Well, I think one thing that Ollie said was it's great for, say for instance, you want to buy it, but you'd like to try it first, then you can run it in the browser and see what it all works.
Yeah,
or if somebody releases a load of patches for said plugin, or the plugin that you've already got, you can just try all the patches out and go, okay, yeah, I'll buy that bank of patches because I can hear them all and play them all. And the other one was because it's in the web page, there is perhaps possibilities to create a sort of online manual for it. Much easier. So you just click and it just throws something up and shows you what's going on. And it just sounds like it's quite an interesting concept there. And apparently it runs at more or less the same kind of latency you get in the DAW as well. But that's as much as I know at the moment. But I know it seemed to be causing a bit of a stir, and kind of, I can't believe that I hadn't really come across it before, even though I know it's been around for a bit. Have you heard about it, Robbie?
Well, no, but the Virgo in me and the obsessive person that I am, that I don't want my computer full of bits of crap that I don't use. I like the idea of being able to audition new plugins or whatever without having to download demos and then try and find the installers and all the files and chuck it all away afterwards. So that kind of appeals to me. And like you said, the auditioning of sounds and stuff, again, you never know, do you, if you want to buy a bank of something you think might be useful for a project. There's nothing worse than buying it and going, oh, that was like one thing in there that I was eventually
used. I wonder if it would result in less patch sales rather than more.
Maybe. Or maybe it'll mean that people will up their game with their patches themselves.
Maybe so. Yeah, Gaz, I think we've got you back. Have we got? Oh yeah, he's back.
Yes.
Excellent.
Hooray! Sorry about that. No idea what's going on. Yeah, I mean, the thing about this is interesting to me is just imagining down the line that you just don't ever install anything. You know, that's what.
Is it? Aren't we getting to rent to own? Aren't we? Buy to rent or whatever it is. It's getting very close to that, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, the whole idea of not even installing something is a next step on again, isn't it? So, I think it probably will go that way. I mean, whether we like it or not.
No, please, no.
I don't like. Yeah,
it's because you recovered guitars from a cloud. You got clouds on the mind.
No,
everything's going to be.
I think I think you're right, but yeah, no. I mean, your biggest fear. I know, Robbie, you like to have it to hand.
Well,
right?
my biggest fear is that from the last couple of years and recent dalliances with a few software subscription models that have kind of let me down on tour when I was in an arena and I didn't have any Wi-Fi, and it wanted some code for like something. You know, it wanted a code for like a key, and I couldn't get it unless I went to like some janitor's office and all this kind of business. I think that it's terrifying, the idea of having everything just available like that, because it's totally dependent on us all being totally connected all the time, and we're not always totally connected. So yeah, maybe it's a model for the future when literally you can get the best internet absolutely anywhere you are.
Well, the other thing I could just imagine is, you have a two-tiered pricing, so everybody gets this, and if you need that, which is always on, and whether you're online or not, then you pay a slightly different rate, which in some ways wouldn't be unfair because it's more professional use. I don't know. I know, Jamie, you're getting much more into hardware anyway. I mean, I know you work in the box and you've got a history of that, but I mean, would this be convenient for you?
No.
No.
First of all, I don't want more stuff. Ultimately, I mean, not to be weird, but I don't really want more stuff. I'd rather record a pan flute under like a shovel, over a house worth of snow, recover it with RX, and then sort of whistle on it and see if I can make a sound that way.
Right. Well, that's fair enough. I mean,
But you know what I mean? I have something that I feel I truly made. But I mean, but that's just the sort of state I'm in currently. It probably will change in about half an hour.
Well, I guess the thing is,
it
reinforces one's identity musically, doesn't it?
I'm increasingly just trying to find things that really happened, and I like the convenience. I like the idea with software and mixing and so forth. I like the idea of sort of emulating the really fancy gear with plugins, your high-end EQs and so forth, and then spending your money on the most lo-fi boxes with the most artifacts and character, because no one's going to spend the money or time to emulate those cheapo boxes, but they have the most inherent character.
Yeah.
So, and if you layer them, multi-track them, or get creative, Junkie XL style, or any of those Hollywood guys know, and anyone who's into curio experiments. And so you've given me a good idea, Gaz, for my next nitty gritty. I'm going to record things deliberately so quietly that they have massive artifacts and so many distracting noises that when you recover them, you might just have some weird, cool,
That's an interesting
ultimately,
idea.
all those spectral artifacts are kind of a sign of the times. They're going to feel really dated really quickly because, we've had more and more FFT bands to the point where that shit used to be so hollow and watery like an old crappy MP3. And now it's a different quality of FFT, isn't it? It's not quite as ringing, and they've managed to, suppress some of those old school X-Noise-esque artifacts, soothe and whatnot. They've kind of mastered a new level of FFT. So it's all good stuff, isn't it? Trying to find something new. That's hard.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting. It is an interesting idea, using, like you're saying, Gaz, using the artifacts, and I'm sure. But I mean, coming back to this, I mean, if you want to check out the stuff, I mean, this literally, I loaded the browser, only worked in Chrome, and there it was. It wasn't kind of like, oh yeah, but you need to do this, and then you need to do that, and then you need to do this. It just is addressing, which in this case, the audio is coming via network NDI video signal, so but there was no hassle. It's just taking the system audio output. I think they're going to get to the point where it might well address multiple ins and outs of actual physical hardware. That's on the roadmap, I believe. But I think it's quite an interesting concept. They've also got, what else have we got? We got a DX7. I was playing the DX7 a little bit earlier. Let's see if that
Not
one works.
DX1 then.
Sadly not. I mean, that's not a very impressive looking, you know, that doesn't really...
Doesn't Roland Orzabal have a DX1?
Probably.
I'm sure I remember he had one.
Yeah, well, you got to, really. I mean, it's almost like a badge of honour, isn't it? I mean, I suspect that's what the Moog One's going to become, really, isn't it? It's like a sort of almost like a badge of it's like a status thing to a degree. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, as we know, we talked about it last week, and it was all very much just pictures and whatnot. Whereas this week, it's all kind of... It's almost too much information, and none of it seems to be quite exactly what you personally might want, you know. So it's one of those scenarios. But just to recap, I mean, obviously it's now a real thing. There it is in all its beauty. There was some great videos from Amos Gaines. He spent like a couple of hours just going through all the features and showing what it could do. It does look like a delicious thing. They've released the meditation on sound video, which for me was a little bit obscure and a bit obtuse. But then if you want more, there's a 47-track playlist of Moog One sounds, which again, you know, it's like, is that that was what I was trying to show, 47-track playlist on Moog One sounds. I wonder if that's what you know, what everybody wants. But it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because now there's this huge thing. I likened it earlier in the preamble show. It's kind of like the Moog One is this week's part of Kim Kardashian's anatomy that broke the internet. You know, it's kind of it's got that same amount of force behind it. You know, to a degree. I mean, obviously a bit more niche, I would say, but it's interesting.
Gaz and I had a little discussion about it the other night because we were talking about how many, in reality, they would probably sell of an instrument like this. And I said it's the sort of instrument that even people with modest incomes will probably kind of beg, borrow and steal and hide from their wife that they've bought it like some sort of, you know, dirty secret, because it's kind of such a desirable item. So I said I thought they'd probably sell about 5,000 units in its lifetime, which I don't know if that sounds realistic. Yeah, when that Gaz pointed out how much money that was.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
So it's interesting to think, you know.
Well, I mean, commercially, it's going to do fine, isn't it? But it's interesting. I just wonder. I think it's the problem. What I've been hearing, you know, but I don't know whether this is just people kind of, like we discussed earlier, people saying, "Oh, yeah, it doesn't sound as good as it should for that sort of money." But in many ways, they've sort of created this really unreasonable expectation of just the sound of it, because not everybody's going to get their hands on it. So it's almost like every patch you expect it to go, "Oh my goodness, you know, that is so." Whatever, you know, whereas that's a really tough thing to live up to, I think. I don't, Jamie, has there been much buzz about it in your world in LA? Are people ringing you up and go, "Have you seen the Moog One?" That seems to be the question I'm getting. Most people go, "What do you think about the Moog One?" Moog One,
I've had a
just to
chat
satisfy
with him.
the pronunciation.
Well, yeah, I know. That's the thing, isn't it? You can never win, but yeah, I'm here staying with my friend Vicente, and he's got a great collection of gear, and you know, we had a natter and watched the bits, and yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful achievement, and I think everyone, you know, who loves synths is like, come on, it's pretty incredible. But there's also some small part in me that is just, I mean, I remember Ty going on about how something like a Chroma, if you plug a jack into its outputs, it's really underwhelming. I kind of fundamentally disagree with that. I think it's just, everything has its own character. The Chroma can do some really bizarre sounds some wouldn't find appealing, but they are sounds that this synth can't make. And so can this synth really give us a tone we've never heard before? I mean, it kind of begs maybe a bigger question of how, I mean, have we hit the edge of subtractive synthesis or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Is there this sort of, what do you, is this, it's sort of almost like, now what? I mean, in a way, a great place to be, because it's kind of like, you could viably sell your Model D, your Jupiters or what have you, and just get this guy and go, I've got a polysynth now that is about as good as it ever needs to be. And I think you could really reasonably say that, but I don't know. It just sort of begs a weirder question for me of like, what do we do now? You know, I don't know.
It feels like a pinnacle or a point of punctuation.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, the fact that, I mean, you know, as we said, you know, that Moog have recognised. See, I said it right there. You grammar, you pronunciation nuts in the chat room are flacking me. They've realised that there's no point in going down, so they may as well go all the way up. I would say, and they've done that repeatedly. Yeah. And to be fair, they make other synths that you can afford. It was interesting at Synthfest. The grandmother was being. They were flogging those like nobody's business. People were falling in love with them, and we saw 3 or 4 people, Gaz, who were sort of stalking out with one under their arm.
I know, and I was very nearly one of them.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. That thing has entered my gas list now. But I don't want to go back over the pricing thing. I mean, initially I was a bit grumpy about the price of it, primarily to do with it being.
I don't think you can. What do you look like when you're grumpy, Gaz? I don't think I can't imagine.
See me when I'm
you don't want to see it, Jamie.
Smile. It seems impossible somehow. I don't know.
That was largely to do with I was thinking it was a shame that it was going to be it's such an expensive thing, and it's like unlikely to be used that much in the live sphere unless it's a big touring band. I think it's probably going to be it's probably really heavy actually. Do we know how heavy it is?
45 pounds.
It's heavy.
But how many Jupiter 8s did you see down the local Dog and Whistle in the 80s?
Yeah, okay, it's a good point. I'm now really kind of I've made a complete sort of change now and think that it probably is the sort of right price for it. Because one of the things that people seem to overlook a little bit is it's almost like an analog workstation in a way, not quite, but the fact that you can run 3 synths sort of simultaneously on it. You can do all sorts of things.
Quite
having and does a sequencer work? Can you do 3 simultaneous?
I think so. One thing that was interesting also, it's got an Ethernet port, so it's like an Internet of Things.
Yeah.
It's incredibly retro. It's the pinnacle of retro and modern at the same time, which is kind of an interesting.
I was going to say, I think my attitude to equipment, it's quite like Jamie's in a way, is that over the years I've just had obscene amounts of instruments, and the amount of instruments that have gone through my hands, if it was on that Life Laundry program and they put it all in the middle of a foot pitch or something, it'd be horrendous to look at. But my kind of philosophy now is that I just want one great example of a number of things that I need. So I've got a Moog Voyager rack mount because I want one great mono synth. I've got a Prophet 6 desktop because I want one really good poly. And then I've got the Euro rack because I want a bit of kind of the sort of mad scientist stuff. And then I've got the granular GR1 sampler because I love all that stuff, and the OP1. So it's like I just want a few things that I really just work with instead of just amassing multiples of the similar sort of thing. So I guess what Jamie's saying is right. When you look at something like that instrument, it is like the pinnacle of polysynth development of polysynth development. And you could look at it like if I spend £8,000 on that or whatever it's going to be, that is basically all the polysynth I'll ever need, and it's going to last me a long time, and I can never run out of
options,
possibilities with it. And that's the kind of way I look at instruments now. If I ever think about I'm going to buy another instrument, I look at it, is it an instrument I really want to invest for a long time, getting stuff out of it? Because I'm just not interested in just amassing loads of stuff that I dip into once in a while. So I think there's a lot of people who look at that instrument like that.
I'm curious about the GR1 actually. So you're using that in the wild, Robbie, are you? That's the granular synth thing, yeah.
Yeah, I am. I love it. I think it's a great unit, and because I've always loved granular synthesis, from way back, particularly with my fascination with producers like BT and all those kind of people who are using it in Keimer and all that. So, I've been using it in every kind of iteration on iPads and all sorts of things. But it's great, yeah. Yeah, really, really pleased that I bought it.
Excellent. Gaz, I've just realised...
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I was just going to say, so for me, if I was looking at buying a synth now, and I probably would think about probably buying something like that, the Quantum or something, because I'm interested in things that kind of aren't just a kind of consolidation of all the things we already know, but something that's a little bit more out there. And so, that's the kind of things that excite me, as opposed to instruments that are just premium regurgitation of something we've had before.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Gaz, I just realised why you sound so good. I've got this massive smiley queue across your input. but there you go. That's fine.
That's okay.
We'll keep it that way.
Well, I was going to say, Nick, you know the promo video for the Moog One, it sort of seems a bit pretentious and a bit weird. But have you seen that it is actually a recreation of the Polymoog or Polymoog launch from 1976? And then if you see the original video, that's, you see those weird, like, kind of clowns kind of hold it. It's all quite cringy to watch it now. If you don't understand the context of where it's come from, you might think...
Well, personally, it wasn't that really... it was more the sort of concept of, if you buy this synth, you're going to reach a state of higher musical consciousness. That was the thing that I found a little bit unpalatable.
But it is all a bit like that advert, like the 76
Right,
feature,
okay,
though.
fair enough. I get it a bit more now, perhaps.
That is online, and it is worth watching just from a historical kind of giggle point of view. But so I just thought I'd better point that out.
Well, anyway, let's now just take a short break, and where we can just have a quick look at a word from our friends at iZotope, who are I'll let them speak for it.
RX continues to be the industry standard and leader in audio repair for music and post-production. And with RX-7, we've introduced groundbreaking new ways to quickly and easily fix and manipulate audio. Take the game-changing Repair Assistant, an intelligent helper that can detect noise, clipping, clicks, hum, and more. Also new in RX-7 is Music Rebalance, a powerful source separation tool. Drums too loud? Vocals not loud enough? Let's fix that. You can also create instrumental versions of songs by removing the vocal elements. You can now alter the pitch without affecting the timing of your audio, and conversely, alter the time without affecting the pitch with the new variable time and variable pitch modules. Using the new dialogue contour, you can improve the performance of a line or even create a new performance by altering the pitch contour of the dialogue, therefore adjusting the intonation of the speaker, and introducing Dialogue Dereverb, a module powered by machine learning to reduce the presence of reverberations around dialogue. RX-7, a new frontier in audio repair.
And you can download that if you go to iZotope.com/RX7. There are demos available, and well worth it if you haven't already discovered how great it is, and probably worth upgrading too. I mean, I know we kind of tend to go on about it, but it is actually one of those products that you just go, wow, that's really useful. Also like to point out, we've got a competition this week. Competition to win a copy of RX-7, which we're looking for the hashtag Music Rebalance, which is one of the new features, and the hashtag RX-7 to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. That's the hashtag Music Rebalance and the hashtag RX7 to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. And we have a winner from last week. Step Forward. Now I'm going to have... Why does everybody who wins got really unpronounceable hashtag handles? It's just... I don't know what it is. I think I need to tweak my own algorithm to figure out. Anyway, right. Crepuscarizas. Right, that is really... I'm going to have to...
Scary pancakes.
CREPESCEREZAS. Step forward, please, and because you have won last week's show, and you will get a copy of RX-7. Anyway, I wanted to get that out of the way. That's really difficult to pronounce. I do apologise if it's your surname and I've murdered it, but I couldn't really help myself. It's very difficult to do. Right, well, there are a couple of things. Actually, before perhaps we get on to other stuff, this was the news. This has just dropped out. The Novation 49 SL Mark III. This is a sort of new super controller from Novation. In fact, we've got a video that came out at exactly the same time. Gaz did it with Chris Calcutt. It's a great video. You basically go through every single feature that there is. But as you can see, this is a new... I know you probably haven't had time to prepare for any of this, but it's got 8 circuit-style sequence tracks, faders, knobs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little OLED displays for programming. It's got splits and layers, and it's got the transport control. It's got the plug-in control, and that's just come out. I think that's going to be about $599 for the 49, $699 for the 61. But from what we see, you can really just hook it up. It's got 2 MIDI outs. It's got 2 channels of MIDI CV, and it's also got USB MIDI, so you can throw, a whole load of stuff at it. It sort of seems a shame in a way that it's not an 88. I imagine, Robbie, you probably could do with an 88 one of those. That would be perfect, right?
I mean, I'm a massive fan. With my touring for literally the last, I don't know, ever since they came out, I think I've got about a dozen of the SL Mark IIs. I've been using them in all my rigs two octaves, 4 octaves, 5 octaves for years, and I love them because of they were the only controller that had like really full MIDI implementation and all the other stuff. So you could kind of get other gear hooked up to it. So I'm really interested to see if these might be a worthy replacement for that, because they have been starting to get a bit long in the tooth, and starting to sort of get all knackered as well. So yeah, I've got the 88 S88 here and one in LA. So the Novation one, the Native Instruments one. The
Native Instruments one, yeah.
Although I'm a little bit disappointed because I only very recently bought the second one, and then they brought out the new one with all the new displays on it. So.
Isn't it always the way it goes? Yeah. I don't know, yeah. Jamie. Do you? I mean, you travel, so presumably you probably don't lug around a 61 or even a 49 key MIDI controller. Do you just grab whatever's available and that'll do, or do you need something very specific?
No, yeah. That would be good. I have had moments where I use the Chroma as my master keyboard in the studio, which is tragic because it's only got 32 layers of velocity, which is quite bizarre. Or increasingly, I use the computer keyboard in Ableton. So I'm just a bit of a weirdo. And people were having a go at me because I did like a reverb.com, kind of. I plugged all my synths in the studio in at the same time and played them from like one of those tiny Akai keyboards. And everyone was like, look at all these synths and he's playing it with that piece of shit. And I was like, yeah.
Whatever works.
Yeah, I do that kind of stuff. I'm really not precious, but it would be, I do also, I kind of have one of those artist mix things, the Avid thing. And I realized that I could run it in Ableton just as a sort of generic MIDI fader. And it's amazing. I really love that because I like faders. So I realized I like faders. So anything that has those, I'm a fan.
Right, and the Artist Series stuff has got motorized faders, hasn't it? So this hasn't got motorized faders. So.
You can't use the motors as in generic mode, I don't think. Maybe you can.
I know.
Yeah. Maybe they do update actually. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah. It looks good. It looks really good. And you just get this with the Moog One, and you control the Moog One with this.
You could.
Can you send all the MIDI CC with the Moog One? Do they all send out MIDI and receive?
I don't know. You'd assume so, but I guess it's analog. So it's hard to know that. Well, I guess if it's programmable, then it's bound to have some sort of digital control. So it might be NRPNs if it's not just straight CC.
Yeah, I think it does.
Novation going to cover this in wood.
I'm not sure.
Please no.
No, perhaps not.
No wood ever.
But I can't meditate unless it either has an ashtray built in. If Novation can release one with built-in ashtray, I don't smoke, but maybe for incense. And then what I like is those Mellotrons with a bit of a table behind them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The Moog ones should have had a table. If they've got those inserts for effects pedals, they should have had a table.
That's not a bad idea.
So you can
why not?
On there.
Why not?
I like tables. The only thing that's missing is a table. Other than that, it looks good.
Yeah.
Gaz, I mean, you did this, didn't you, with Chris? And it was, was impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, God, it's been really difficult buttoning my lip over waiting for the kind of embargo to lift on this thing, because it is quite exciting. I mean, I think the thing that really warrants, a good look at this thing is the fact that they're trying to do this thing where they're moving it away from it being specifically a computer controller. In fact, it's kind of relegating the computer to just being, I think Chris says in the feature, almost like just like a glorified sound module. And because you can use this without it being connected to a computer, and it is like it's generating clock, it's got the sequencers built in, you really don't need to have it anywhere, cool. A computer anywhere near. And there's like two sets of CV gate and mod outs as well, and you can see that there's they've definitely borrowed a lot of ideas from the Native Instruments line, including the LEDs above the keys. But that takes on an extra quality with this because of the built-in sequencer. And they're all color-coded. So if you've got, you can create 8 splits across the key bed. So definitely think the 61 would be the one to go for personally on this one, because you can then have the lights can then be lit up, which are relative to each of the different
zones, the
different zones, and
that's great.
Sequencer on each zone. There's there's a lot of stuff and the way that you can actually mix and match what the zones are doing. So like one zone can be controlling a CV and gate, another zone can be doing some MIDI channels, another zone could be doing something over USB to the computer. So
main stage or whatever.
What I should mention, the programmability for all of this though is really going to, if you want to get in and customize it, you're meant to use it with the Novation components.
It has to have a computer hooked up, doesn't it? That's
for the configuration. Yes. Yeah. So once,
but I should all point out, once you've done that and you've stored those patches within the unit, you can recall them, which is something that's, I mean, various things have done that, but certain things don't. I mean, like the NI control doesn't do that, for instance. You be essentially in sort of just I'm a dumb MIDI controller without a computer mode. It's quite basic, even though when it's integrated, it's really powerful. But this brings some of that power into standalone, or all that power into standalone.
Yeah,
and something else is. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's got a very well, it's quite sumptuous in terms of the amount of buttons. Like there's you've got like a row of buttons above the sliders there, which can sort of double up as mute and solo buttons. The pads, I mean you'll have to watch the feature really to see all the features. But what I would say though is it feels like it really has got a very nice sort of premium feel about it as well. The keyboard feels good, all the controls feel good. It feels like they've really stepped up the quality of it. So when you actually look at the kind of price point, if you're paying like 600 quid for a 49 key controller, now that seems quite expensive, but it feels like a quality instrument. And of course it's not just a controller really. In many ways it's a you could call it a studio hub almost,
I would agree with that. We seem to be in the season for MIDI controllers, because we've got the new Nectars, which we've got a feature coming up shortly. Also got the Arturia controller, which I forget what it's called now, but it's that's next in the list of things to be reviewed. So it's interesting that's actually that they all seem to come out at this point. I suppose maybe there's a marketing works that way, and like you bring them all out at the end of summer because everybody hunkers down and gets on with their work. In the autumn they stop going out to the park. Maybe that's what it comes down to.
I was just going to say, it's funny because I've for the last couple of years in the studio, all I've had in front of me is one of those 3-octave X key. And I just have that in front of me and the piano keyboard for when I actually have to play proper piano things. And I literally did like the whole of Simon Collins, like epic, electronic prog extravaganza just on this little keyboard. And people come in and they go, "What? You can't have surely done it all on that." But I love them. I put them in my suitcase, take them around. They're great. So
size matters.
Yeah, of course.
It does, because of the.
I've got the 3-octave one. I've got the 3-octave one, Jamie. Just like to say, not the 2-octave.
No, I wasn't implying any flaccidity there. I was just sort of because in my little Argosy kind of generic kind of like I've made it. I'm surrounded by gear desk. There's actually no room for a synth, and so it's actually it's either beside me, and I'm not. I really am old school. I came from that generation of you had the MIDI controller and your S3000 to your right, to do your editing back in the day on the Akai. So you really needed to have the keyboard right there. So I don't know, whatever's in front of me really, and I can't get much on that table. So it's a sort of more literally a space issue. And I hate having that clunky thing by my knees, and I just kind of can't do it. So I'm sort of a bit screwed, really. Either I get a new table.
There's the thing.
A really thin keyboard would be amazing. Actually, it gave me an idea. Has anyone ever made? Yeah, there you go. See, I was thinking, has anyone made a keyboard where you press a key and you can put it in a mode where it kind of the key stays down and sort of locks down? So
latching keys.
Yeah,
isn't that a sustain pedal? Sustain pedal or a hold button.
Yeah, I know, but the key physically locks down. I just kind of like that. It's like I play a piano, sort of goes.
I suspect you could do something with Velcro. I reckon you could do something with Velcro. that just a strip of Velcro underneath the keyboard, and the hook, either the hooks or the other stuff, depending on which way. So when you put them down, it just latches. Then, but when you pull it up, the force required, you might end up breaking keys off and things. So I don't know.
Because back in the day when all the stoners would use the early samplers, they just put like a cigarette butt on one of the black keys, so it just doesn't come back. You know what I mean? So if you've got a loop on that key, you just put a cigarette butt in there and then leave it looping while you play some other shit.
Just trying to think. There was a plectrum. You can put a plectrum between. So the keys go down. So if they go like that, you put a plectrum in between the space, so it keeps. You put a plectrum in this bit here, so it keeps.
Novation, are you listening to this?
Yeah, should come with a plectrum. Well, anyway, this is all. But anyway, that's out, and you should definitely watch Gaz's video. It's there's a lot of stuff there, lots of stuff there. So, awesome, we're getting kind of close. I'm wondering whether or not the glide. You want to do the glide? All right, let's do the glide. Let's do the glide. Here we go. So this is the new glide by a chap. Brilliant name. What's his name? He's called. Keith Groover. I guess I could talk over it. This basically comes in two parts. Got 6 accelerometers between the two hand things, and 5 buttons and a joystick, and that all kind of gives you the articulations. It's a MIDI controller. Guess it works over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. Not entirely sure, actually. Bluetooth. And I suspect he's the only person in the world who can play it that well, but.
He plays it well, though, doesn't he?
Pretty good guitarist as well, as it comes down to it. I mean, we all know how the song goes, so that's it. I mean, I don't know what he was obviously controlling something via MIDI there, but it's an interesting concept. And this is he's taking pre-orders, and the idea is it's got 3 buttons which give you all. I don't think it's quite the same as trumpet fingering, but I guess if you knew how to play the trumpet, you'd probably stand a better chance of being better at, articulate on it. But it's only going to be like $150, which seems like
if you order it.
Wow. It looked to me like it was possibly 3D printed and stuff, which I like that. I like the idea of that kind of cottage industry and sort of snap together concept. But Gaz, I know you were keen on this, so you should perhaps go first on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, partly that's the thing. It is affordable. I mean, $100, and obviously, it's very much like the Wii nunchuck controller, isn't it? So I don't know if it was inspired by that.
Just write some pictures while you're talking there.
Yeah, no, yeah. So you can see this little joystick on the top there, and what you can do with the joystick then is quite clever, basically. So, like when you play the keys, you play a scale. So it's like diatonic. It'll be like you'll move up, like say the major scale, but then pushing the joystick left or right just allows you to get to the flats or sharp notes as well. But then cleverly, if you pull it in another direction and do it, you can then move it up and down diatonically, so it'll stay in the key. And he demonstrates it quite well.
There was a great video of that. The only thing for me is it's just such a massively unfamiliar way of playing notes. Whereas that part, the expression looks great, but it's sort of almost like you need somebody else playing the notes and you just doing the expression. But
I'm not so sure. I think you will get that. I mean, I remember playing around with oh gosh, what's it called? There's an app on the iPad. I'll think about it in a moment. Where you just rest your fingers on certain notes, and then you can. It's quite a similar principle where you use combination of fingers, and you can then with your thumb just choose to go up or down a semitone. And as I was playing around with that, I was thinking that this is actually a very cool way. Yes, trumpet players will be able to relate to it for sure. With the left hand, you can kind of flick up and down between the octaves as well as applying vibrato and that sort of thing. But I think where I thought that this was quite interesting, partly because it's cheap. I think that's it's cheap enough to not be too. It's not a big investment, is it, to try it out? But actually think I've been trying to learn theremin for the past few years, and it looks like you can get a lot of the cool, because they call it the glide, because
it's very theremin-y in a way, isn't it? But with quantization.
He explains on the video how you do it, but you can make these really lovely smooth glissando moves between the notes. And and with all that expressivity as well. I think this is really cool. I really want to get one. So yes. So
you're the guy it's aimed at, I guess. I don't know, Jamie. I don't know whether or not, because I mean, your background is translating, the instinctive movements, your voice instinctively into music, looping and all the stuff you've done in the past. I mean, which is a very direct thing. I mean, does learning something new instrumentally, does that appeal these days? I mean, it's quite a challenge, isn't it, to be able to play articulately enough to get your ideas across?
I mean, I just see this product through the eyes of my 3-year-old, really. He's almost 3. That could be fun. It's nice to be able to touch sound, and playing for him, that could just be really fun. I think if they look more like maracas, I might be more interested.
Okay.
Like if there was just 2 maracas, I'll be down. Like in a way, I gave a talk at MTSU and outside just near Nashville to a bunch of students, and I was just thinking about all these alternate controllers and why on stage they always look a bit naff in a way. Yeah. It's sort of like, because I think humans just can't relate to what you're doing fundamentally. If you go on stage with 2 pieces of wood in your hands, every human being knows as essentially a glorified ape what you're going to do with that wood, or how much skill it takes to do things with 2 pieces of wood. Whereas when you've got 2 things in your hand whose function we don't know, you automatically look at someone doing it as an ape and go, I don't know how much skill is involved there, or whether I should be impressed. So there's this fundamental disconnect versus someone coming on stage and taking a risk that we all know and can relate to and quantify, essentially. Yeah. So always with these things, you don't quite know what anyone is doing. And I think it's quite hard to sort of relate to that and go, wow, what great skill. I appreciate that, or I want to do that, or whatever it might be. So I just always find it's a little bit tricky to know. I don't know. I kind of, again, I want things to be simpler. If it was digital clave or literally a pair of digi maracas. I've been finding it hard. Recently, I've been realized with beatbox, for example, the thing I find hard to translate into something functional when I convert it to MIDI is the movement of the hi-hat, is the movement of the shaker part, because those miniature parts of the groove are the things that are so great as a human to express, and really hard when you quantize them and put them into samples, they lose all of that humanity. So if this was a way, I'm thinking for drummers, this would be kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Get rid of the wire between the 2 pieces and somehow use it to drum on real drums. As but then no one would know what you were doing, but that's beside the point. I don't know. It's cool. I mean, I love that people innovate. Brilliant. I don't know.
I get your feeling. It does feel a bit like, well, what would be the point in investing that much time in this? I guess you probably have similar sentiments there, Robbie.
Well, as a grade 8 trumpeter, perhaps my grade 8 trumpet training will now come into its own full force. But all joking aside, I kind of feel a little bit like Jamie, although I've invested a lot of time with the Roley Seaboard and I've done a lot of great stuff in the studio, but I don't think I will ever take it out live because it just looks like a big black slab of nothing. And like Jamie says, no one will appreciate. You won't be able to see on stage what you're doing. But I think the only time where I really get excited is when I see like Imogen Heap with her gloves, literally just making fucking sound out of the air. But I find that exciting because I understand the immense amount of intellectual planning and the team of people who've been brought in to do this whole thing and make this language for her. And for people I've watched her, I've shown it to people who aren't like that, and they've gone, they just can't fathom what a great feat it is. Whereas I think, like Jamie says, something like this may be fun to kind of get a bit of expression in the studio, but I don't ultimately want to look like someone waving in planes on the runway on stage. I think that's kind of what you look like with this. So I don't know.
You could combine with a jumpsuit. I reckon it could work.
Me and Gaz are going to get them. We're going to start up a sort of a new modern brass orchestra.
Yeah.
I reckon it'd be really cool to have like a boxing, to box with them and play tunes while simultaneously fighting someone else. I think that
music
might be
battle.
Quite interesting.
I suspect that might be.
What sounds would there be on them?
oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like kick drums and, you know, massive impacts.
But I mean,
frying pan, cartoon frying pan across the head.
Yeah.
Sort of bung.
Yeah, that's
but bear this in mind with that, though. I mean, because it's Bluetooth MIDI, you know, you could have it connected to your phone, have your, you know, or iPad or something, and you've got an incredibly portable, you know, those things are just pop in your pocket, and I don't know, it's really, really mobile as well. So,
yeah, but
That's
it's really interesting what you say, Jamie, about that. Is, you know, that the audience don't get what's going on, and I think that's why, you know, grand gestures. Yeah, but grand gestures were like, you know, projecting image mapping on interesting shapes and all the clever video stuff. We can all, there's a spectacle. We go, wow, you know, we don't care how it's done. We could just go, that's really clever and looks great.
Okay, we're not apes.
We understand, but we understand, you know, somebody stepping up to the front of the stage and playing pulling out a guitar solo. We get that. It's a language we're all familiar with, I suppose. You know, or a keytar, or, you know, God forbid, even a Rolly. You know, strap it on, do one of those things that those brothers do, which are brilliant, and that kind of works. I've forgotten the name of them now. I feel very ashamed of them.
Brothers, aren't they?
The Parisi brothers. Yeah, I mean that translates, even though that's new. But they're probably, again, the only people in the world who can play that well with that stuff, you know. So you're seeing, you know, the best there is, I suppose, you know, in that niche, because nobody else really knows how to play that well. I know, you know, you probably put a lot of time into stuff, but you probably couldn't do that, or wouldn't maybe choose to. But, you know, it's like a very famous musician said to me once when we were talking about records. He said, Robbie, you've got to understand that if you ask the average person, what are you listening to on this record? Are you listening to a snare drum or a bass guitar? They probably wouldn't even be able to differentiate. They wouldn't even have the language to really understand how to extrapolate simple things like that. They just know whether they like it or they don't, whether they want to dance to it or they don't, or whether they have to cry to it or they don't. So on stage, expecting the public to understand incredibly exotic ways of like generating musical sound is quite a stretch, isn't it? Yeah, I suppose so. Well, it's funny because when we went in Sheffield, we saw two acts. We saw the Will Gregory's Moog Orchestra, which was absolutely
Fantastic.
brilliant. I mean, really, really good. And then we saw I forgot the Tesla Coil, which was, I mean, the music was great. The Tesla Coil, but once you'd sort of seen a couple of bars of the Sparks doing their thing, there wasn't really all that much. You know, the spectacle of that was quite good, and the lighting was great. But you know, once you'd seen it and heard it doing its thing, it wasn't really, didn't have much nuance or stuff to offer.
Oh, I thought it did. I loved it.
Yeah,
you went off to the side. I was like, kind of like,
yeah, but that was the lights. I spent enough. Anyway, but yeah, I take your point. Gosh, we seem to have like almost reached 5 o'clock already. I can't believe how that happened. Was there anything else we were going to talk about? I suppose, was there anything in the topics that anybody wanted to slip in quickly, or have we creamed the best from the crop, as it were? Yeah, well, there's my answer right away there. So, well, before we go, but if you want to find out about that, the Glide, you go to theglide.cc. That's where you can find out about it. You can pre-order it. He's asking for $100 up front. It's going to be between 100 and 150, so it might cost another $50, but which seems quite reasonable on a punt. You know, if that's the sort of thing, particularly if you kind of, you know, have a more inquisitive mind than perhaps I do. So yeah, definitely
and
worth
it's sort of competing against that ring. Wasn't there like a ring?
Yeah, but it was more for control, wasn't it, than playing the notes, I suppose? Because you would play the notes with one hand, and the ring would do the other stuff. So
this has got sounds built in as well, hasn't it? That's worth saying.
Basic
It's got its own output. It's got
has
its
it?
own
Okay,
sound
right.
generator.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
right.
immediate.
Suppose I was
immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what a weird world it would be if it was called Brown Tooth instead of Bluetooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Such
well,
a subtle
it'd be quite so
difference.
appealing, wouldn't
They were going through these meetings like, what colour are we going for? Green, brown, cyan? You know, they ended
Well,
up on
that's an
Bluetooth.
interesting
It's a really
fact, actually.
different
What designates the colour? That is a trend. I don't know if anyone saw. There was a documentary recently on BBC or UK channels about Hedda Gabler, who basically invented the principles behind Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Back in the day, you know, she was not only was she a massively famous Hollywood star, but she was a really smart inventor, and she invented loads of stuff. And one of the things
Hedy Lamarr, yeah.
Hedy Lamarr, sorry, I do beg your pardon, Hedy Lamarr. It was brilliant. And so she invented the concept of constantly changing frequencies that would match each other at either end, so you could encrypt end-to-end stuff, and that's her thing. Wow. Just one of those rare facts for you folks. Not really relevant, I suppose.
Have you heard of have you heard of Brown Ray? So if you want to listen to the Brown note on your Blu-ray player, you get the Brown Ray disc, and it can go the frequencies down to sort of.
I haven't.
Nick,
sorry,
I'm just getting worrying images now, seeing Gaz at a party in Bristol with a pair of mini rigs strapped on like a Madonna style bra and whipping out his glide to kind of do an impromptu performance.
Do you know what? I like that idea.
I'm having Nick's now having to battle whether it's going to be called, this episode's going to be called Brown Ray or Flacido Dominguez or whatever it's going to be.
Flacido Domingo. That's a good one. Interesting. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I'm speaking of all the controller side of things. Obviously, we did. I played it in the intro, Gaz. Before the show started, our little jam that we did on the old. I think it's on. This was all done from the Omnispheres, because we did a piece on the Omnisphere 2.5 hardware control. You brought your sledge. I got a mini log, a sub 37, and a Prophet X. None of which are making any sound. It's all done. It's all done via. And it was good fun. I think it sounds quite good.
How
actually.
is that? Plug that in. Is it good?
It's really good. It's a new way of looking at your stuff.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming out soon.
The other day.
That'll be coming out soon.
I'm so late to the party, crazy.
Have you got a keyboard that supports the hardware?
Yeah, and and I don't use it, so I've got room for it, obviously.
Well, I have to say, I did a lot of stuff on the Minilog with it, and the Minilog's really good because you get all that control. And the thing about it is quite often the sound that's coming out of Omnisphere, certainly, I mean, while it has an Omnisphere gloss, so a similarity to it, it sounds kind of quite a lot deeper and wider than the originals. So it's quite fun in that way. So it's, but anyway. I won't go on about it too much, but I guess that's kind of it, really, isn't it? That feels like it's probably a time to end. So thank you everybody for joining us. Lovely to see you again, Robbie and Jamie. Thank you very much for joining us. You busy? You're back from LA now. You're working on the Howard Jones album, so you kind of in a darkened room working on synths.
I'm not quite. We haven't got any touring lined up. We've got loads lined up for next year. So I think we're going to be touring with some really cool. We're kind of be going out as an electronic duo. I think me and Howard. With a couple of other artists, up-and-coming artists. So that's going to be fun. But, just here till Christmas now, working on this and various other bits and bobs.
Great. Well, lovely to have you. And, Jamie, I know are you sticking around in LA, or are you moving back to... Have you got plans? I don't know how long you've been there. Is that a month or so?
I've got various tasks on the whiteboard, most of them relating to eating.
I'm just trying to see if I can read them.
No, this is definitely not my whiteboard. And
burger.
I haven't actually got as much on. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't got that much on session-wise. There's a couple of bits, but I'm kind of over here, kind of winging it. I'm going to be working with my pal Dave Stewart's daughter, Kaya Stewart. We've been doing a lot of music, and so we're going to be working with her tonight. I'm interviewing Spike Stent, hopefully Chris Lord-Alge, and a few other people for the pod. And including JMJ. Do you guys know JMJ?
What, Jean-Michel Jarre?
From the Justin Medal Johnson.
I love him.
Various cool folks for the pod. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting, and I'm going to be working with Haxton Cloak at his studio, and generally messing about. So it's really good. I've been making sounds and just plenty on, and hopefully loads of food, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's one of the most important things, that's for sure.
So Kaya, go get some nice sushi.
Gaz, thank you very much for joining us, and of course, if you haven't seen the SL Mark III, we've got a video up now. It's just a corker. It's like 35 minutes, but we go through pretty much everything. It's not dull, I must say. It's fact after fact.
Yeah, we were trying to keep it shorter, but there was just too much stuff to put in, wasn't there?
There certainly was.
But also, there's a whole bunch of Synthfest videos coming up as well, I think.
Yeah, got a load of that
to come. And so, yeah, and thanks to everybody who was really nice to me at Synthfest. It was a really enjoyable time yet again, and really great to see something about Synthfest as well. It just seemed to be a lot more younger people there as well, and quite a few girls as well, which was cool to see.
Were there any girls there?
Yeah, there was actually. Yeah,
there were. So, you know, good. You know, definitely more. You know, more females more than welcome to come and join us in the synth nerdosphere.
I should point out I'm actually wearing the. I got a goodie bag from a guy called Steve Holmes, who does really nice synth t-shirt designs and all that kind of stuff. If you want to check his stuff out, Steve Holmes, STHOLMES. It's actually steveholmes.studio. So if you just look for Steve Holmes, you should be able to find his stuff. He's got a load. And yeah, I like that. And we did a great interview with Ian Body, which is up online as well. And there's a new release out on Tone Science, his Tone Science sub-label. So, yeah, plenty of stuff still to come on Sonic.
The Finley, the Future Sound Systems little synthesizer video is up, and that's well worth a mention, though, because that's 99 quid for an complete analog synthesizer. I mean, just like a kind
kit.
of
Yeah, it's a kit.
It's a kit, but it does sound really good for a very dirty, grainy, kind of nasty thing. But 99 quid. Bargain, really.
Cool. Right. Okay, we better go. Thanks, everybody. Been lovely to have you from all over the world, wherever you are. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Go up.